Hi there, welcome to a demo of RunLLM. RunLLM is a high-quality technical support assistant that helps your users navigate your product and its APIs easily and quickly. RunLLM works by building a custom LLM and a knowledge base that's an expert on your APIs, your guides, your best practices, and any conversations that are being had about how to use your product. It can help developers by answering questions, generating code, and even debugging errors that arise. Let's get started with creating our first assistant. Creating an assistant is easy. Today we'll create an assistant for Rising Wave, a popular open source streaming database. We'll start by giving our assistant a name and also paste in a short description about how Rising Wave works and what it's meant to do. Once we click create, we'll have the option to add data sources. In this case, we're going to use the Rising Wave documentation as the first data source that we'll start with. The documentation for Rising Wave is on their website, so we'll go ahead and use RunLLM's web crawler to pull it down. When we add a new data source, there's going to be a couple of things that happen. First, we're going to go crawl all of the information that's reachable from this particular website, all of the documentation pages that we can find. We'll use all of that information to then go ahead and fine-tune a custom LLM, and also create a search index that we keep up to date as your documentation changes. As you'll see in a moment, when a question comes in, we'll use both the data sources we find in the documentation as well as the expertise of the fine-tuned LLM in order to answer that question. We've given our Rising Wave assistant a few minutes to crawl the relevant information and train itself. Now that it's ready, we can test it out. We'll start by asking a high-level conceptual question, like how Rising Wave compares to a tool like Apache Flink. When we ask a question like this, RunLLM is going to search through all of the documentation that we crawled. It's going to use the expertise of that custom LLM and generate an answer based off of the data sources that have been provided to it. In this case, the Rising Wave documentation actually has a helpful image that outlines the overlaps and the differences between Rising Wave and Flink, so we include that in our response as well. We also cite back to the parts of the documentation, like a comparison page between Rising Wave and Flink, that it's used to generate the answer we see here. Next, we'll ask a more tactical question. In this case, we're going to ask a multi-step question that's going to ask our assistant to ingest data from Kafka, transform it, and then sync it into Postgres. Here, RunLLM is actually going to generate some code for us. SQL in this case, because we're using a database, and it will outline the different steps in the code. You can see there's step 1 to create from Kafka, create the materialized view, create the sync, and so on and so forth. While this example is generating SQL for us, RunLLM is capable of working with any popular and widely used language, not just SQL. Once we've built an assistant, it can be used anywhere. RunLLM has a Slack bot, which you can see on the Rising Wave community Slack, as well as a Discord bot. We also have a documentation widget that you can add to your doc set like the Rising Wave team has done here. And we have an API in case you want to build a custom interface. Finally, we'll go ahead and look at the insights that RunLLM provides about our assistant once it's been deployed. Once our assistant's been deployed, the RunLLM admin UI shows us a bunch of useful information. At the top, we can see how our assistant's actually being used and where the questions are coming from, as well as the feedback that our users are giving us as they're interacting with RunLLM to have their questions answered. Below that, we can see that RunLLM has taken all of the questions that we have and has classified them into different categories based on what's being asked about. This helps us gain an understanding of where our users' focus is, what are the types of things that they're trying to do, and how can we better help them accomplish that. Under the chat history here, we can see the actual conversations that are being had, and we can even filter them by topic, whether they've been upvoted or downvoted, and try to find some interesting questions or insights based on the conversations customers are actually having. That's it for now. If you're interested in learning more or building a custom assistant with RunLLM, please check out our website at runllm.com and reach out to us to learn more. Thanks for watching.